Brookville Park Board of Adjustment to order. First order of business is a public hearing on variance ZA 21-04 for 405 Redondo Drive South. Mr. Sanks, is there a staff report?
Good evening, Chair. Thank you, Board of Adjustment members and staff and the public. Yes, we do have one item tonight. It's a request for variance for 505 Redondo Drive South. It's a variance from zoning ordinance section 12.05.a. It's basically the R15 zoning district, in which it states that the front yard shall be maintained at 30 feet. The applicant's proposing to reduce the front yard setback to 22 feet 9 inches for a, excuse me, phone's going off, for a garage extension on their existing garage. They want to make it larger. So if you don't mind, Chair, I'll go ahead and share my staff report with you as I normally do, so that we can kind of scroll through the content and the graphics related to the request. Just one moment, please.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. All right, so you should be able to see my screen now, and I'm going to silence my phone. So this will show you that you can see the text of the staff report, and for the public that's following along, as well as the applicant, staff prepares a report to the Board of Adjustment with a recommendation based on our understanding of the code. We present the information and also whether we support or don't support the case. So in reading the applicant's materials submitted with this request, they've asked for their relatively small garage space, which is about 18.5 by 18 feet, to be extended so that it's more usable. They said that their submittal documents that they had a growing family and that the 18 by 18 garage wasn't very usable. Staff would concur 18 by 18 is actually quite small for a garage. Generally, new house construction has a minimum 20 by 20, more or less. Sometimes it's 20 by 22. So at 18 by 18, they're a little short. So let me go ahead and show you the site plan of their residence. So they are set on a corner lot on Redondo Drive South, and you can see the home is kind of at an angle facing the street. The home is set back. You can see the building envelope here illustrated with the red line. So it's a pretty good sized lot. And if you look closely, I can kind of zoom in. You can kind of see that right now the home is set back 8 foot 9 inches behind the setback line. They're proposing to build the garage out 8 feet 9 inches towards the setback line, and then the variance kicks in once they cross this front setback line for another 7 feet 3 inches. So basically, they're looking to have, from what we can tell, a 34-foot deep garage, which is about 14 feet greater than a typical garage depth. Maybe they'd like some workspace or just the additional length. I'm not certain. So as I zoom back down so you can see this, as you know, there are 4 required conditions that must be met for a variance to be granted. These are passed down through the state statutes. So when we look to vary from our own code, we have pretty strict rules from which we need to reference. And that one, or A, that there's special circumstances or conditions applying to the land, that such special circumstances were not created by the owner or applicant, that authorization of the variance is necessary for the preservation and enjoyment of substantial property rights, and that authorization of the application will not be materially detrimental to the neighborhood. The applicant asserts that they've met the 4 conditions for the granting of the variance, but however, staff doesn't concur with the applicant. We don't believe that conditions A, B, and C have been met. Now, I want to reiterate to the applicant, because I can understand why they would like a larger garage. We would concur that their garage is too small to really be quite usable. And so we would support, a design review application to enlarge that garage. And as you can see, they've got plenty of room to move forward and move to the side to make a more than usable garage. And the issue that we have is that we're not seeing the hardship on the property because the home is set back well behind the front yard setback. So they've got 8 foot 9 inches already to work with without requesting a variance. That would get them to 26 feet deep, which is bigger than a normal garage. The other thing is that there's nothing really unique about this lot because the home is set back and centered on the lot. If they had a substandard sized garage and they were built right on the setback line and they needed a couple feet, we might see some support in there. But I don't think in good conscience from, a strict reading of the ordinance that we'd be able to support the variance because the size of garage that they want is significantly larger than a standard garage. And they can still get that without requesting a variance. So that said, we'd love to support the homeowner and the design review application. without a variance to get them a bigger garage, and hopefully come back on a different board agenda for that, maybe next month. But we don't recommend approval of the variance. We recommend denial based on my presentation.
Okay, do any of the board members have any questions for Mr. Sanks concerning his report? Okay, hearing none, is the applicant prepared to make a presentation to the board concerning what they heard from Mr. Sanks?
So yeah, I assume that is me, myself, Chad Swanson, who's the applicant. I currently reside in the 505 residence and looking to get the variance on getting a little bit more room on the front side of that setback. If you look at, I don't know if you can pull up any of the other four corners of the Redondo properties, but on that side of things, if you look at our property compared to the other three entities on the corners of Redondo, they're parallel with either Redondo Drive South or Redondo Drive East. So they have opportunity to build their garage forward. Myself, so we're looking at putting in, I'm a mechanical engineer by trade, so we're looking at building the garage out to put, you know, a mill and a lathe or whatever inside of the garage to give it more room for usability. I can't build a garage on the northeast corner of my garage, on the south, like all four corners of my house are pretty much landlocked. So my only opportunity for growth is to move that forward. So that's sort of my reasoning for the proposal, is to move that garage forward to allow me, my existing garage, to put in a mill and a lathe, or, you know, storage even for my kiddos. Yes, there we go. Yeah, so there's my existing property, you can see. And then if you go to the other four corners, you can see the other four corners are basically on Redondo, are cut split down the middle, where all the other houses are 90 degrees to one of the roads. We're the only one that's positioned 45 degrees to any one of the roads. So we're positioned nothing to do with our own accord. The house was there pre-existing, where they have opportunity to move, add an addition on the side of the house, northeast, southwest. I can't do anything northeast, south, and west because the way the house is positioned on the property. So that's what I'm looking for, is how can I expand my property to allow for growth in any one direction? I know that was probably verbaceous for what you guys are looking for, but I'm more than willing to sort of talk through it and see what type of a compromise we can come up with. And
Okay.
I don't know, Jason, if you can, one of the documents I submitted shows an aerial view of all four corners of Redondo. I don't know if you can pull that up, or if I can share screens and pull up the aerial view of all four corners of Redondo. You can distinctly see where my property, my house, is positioned on the entire corner, where the other four are split right down the middle, and their house is positioned either parallel or perpendicular to the road. Yes, here you go. So as you can see in the upper left-hand corner, my house is 45 degrees to Redondo South or Redondo South, either way on that one. Whereas over here on the corner, you know, the far right-hand corner, you have Don Ribtoy and the other neighbor. They're pretty much perpendicular to the road. Jason, if you scroll down a little bit, you can see the corner, Heather and her husband, John, and then the other neighbors, they're pretty much perpendicular to Redondo in any direction, where I'm at a 45. So I can't go left or right. I can only go forward.
Do any of the board members have any questions for the applicant?
No, see,
Yes,
there's
Vice Chair.
a significant amount of space to the, as it would be, as you're looking at the house to the left side. Maybe even a standalone extra garage or shop would be possible more towards the rear of the yard for that kind of purposes. We generally frowned on front yard setback encroachments. It's just part of and it should be a little bit more difficult to get it to get an encroachment into the front. That I always consider the front yard setback as kind of belonging to the neighborhood, sort of. It's like it creates the spaciousness that we have in some of our residential neighborhoods. So, and I'm inclined to think that you could probably fit a regular garage or even a generous garage without an encroachment, and then needing, if you need more space for other purposes, looks like there's other vacant space on the lot in other areas. Maybe not drivable to get to unless you do some other manipulation, but there is area there.
Yeah, so I mean, there's definitely, there is opportunity on that left corner. There's existing concrete pad, but then, even my pathway to get back there is probably right at 8 feet, if maximum, between the setback and the existing property line to get back to there. So if I was to get a, vehicle, stuff like that, I don't know what the normal sizing for that is. There's an existing pad there. My water line is back there. So I could potentially put where that one opportunity, that hashtag, the hidden line is shown there. Yes, correct, Jason. Thank you. Right there is opportunity there, but I was looking to really enhance the curb appeal plus the usability of the existing property line to help with the garage on the front side of the house, because the side there is a yard there that has the kids, they play basketball and stuff there. So I would be consuming some of the basketball court, which would now turn into a garage. Plus that 7-foot setback, I wouldn't be able to put a 2-car garage there. So maybe that's the opportunity for that, single car garage that I have shown in the hidden line, where I could get at least one of the square footage opportunity shown there.
Any other board members have any questions or comments? Okay, at this point, it would appear, if there's no questions or comments, that the next phase would be a motion. Well, let me ask, are there any members of the public online that want to speak on this issue? Okay, here, if not.
I'm sorry, Chair. No, we haven't received any requests to speak.
Okay, well, hearing that, I think the next step would be a motion to close the public hearing, and then we can go into the next item, which is the board deliberation on this particular application.
Chair, I move that we close the public hearing.
We have a motion to close public hearing. Is there a second? I'll second. Okay. Congress, Ms. Dudley has seconded. We have a motion. We have a second. All those in favor of closing the public hearing, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it. So we close the public hearing, and now we'll move into the deliberation phase. And do any of the commission members have, or board members have any comments or further questions for staff?
Chair, I guess my only comment is I'm not seeing the four rules, exceptions for those. It's never, none of us ever like to not create a variance for a neighbor, but I don't see it. And I concur with Jason's assessment.
And just as a further comment for the applicant as well as anybody watching, those four rules are not rules that we made up or the council made up. They're by state statute and case law. And that says that you have to meet all four of those. So if even one is not met, then as the law is written, we're not supposed to grant. And then the other comment that I always have on these is you have a scenario where you have an existing use, there's a nice house on the lot. It's not like it's not buildable. And the current conditions were there when the applicant bought the lot. And then from what the staff is saying, there still are options to move it forward somewhat to get additional space. So based on all of that, I would not support I'm only one vote, but I share board member O'Connor's thoughts as well. This just does not seem like one where it's something that I don't think we should grant it unless enough people disagreed. Are there any other board members who have comments on this? Okay, hearing none, would someone like to make a motion?
I'll move to deny the variance request.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to deny the variance request. All those in favor of denying the request say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. The ayes have it. The application is denied. For the applicant, the applicant did indicate they would like to work with staff. Staff has indicated there are abilities there to give them some additional space, on the garage where it would not require a variance. So I would urge the applicant to have further discussions with staff and see what could be worked out.
So what does that process look like? Do I do that in this forum and say, okay, you won't give me 7'9", will you give me 5 foot? How does that process work?
Well, at this point, the application has been denied, but what you're talking about now, according to staff, there's a certain limit you can get without a variance, and they can explain that to you, offline of what you could be able to do.
So the they is the Pam, or the they is the who?
You would talk with the building department and Mr. Sanks. Okay, moving on to the next item is approval of minutes. We have a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll move we approve the minutes.
Is there a
A
second?
second.
We have a motion. We have a second to approve the minutes. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed say nay. Minutes are approved. That concludes the Board of Adjustment agenda. Is there a motion to adjourn the Board of Adjustment?
So moved.
Have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
So a motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor of adjourning the Board of Adjustment say aye.
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 The Board of Adjustment is adjourned, and with that, we will move over to design review, and Chairman Charnetsky takes the reins.
Okay. Are we ready to keep going, Pam?
Yes, just continue on.
Okay. All right, so I'll call to order this meeting of the Design Review Board for the City of Litchfield Park. And our first item of business are design plans for an addition remodel proposed for 505 East Fairway Drive. Jason, you want to give us the staff report?
Yes, thank you, Chair Chadetsky and board members. I'll go ahead and share my screen so we can go through the report and exhibits. All right, great. You should be able to see my screen now for 505 East Fairway Drive. So the first application we have tonight, item A, is an application to add new livable area to the rear of an existing residence. It's approximately 680 square feet, comprised of a new master bedroom, closet, and bathroom. The new addition will not be visible from Fairway Drive as the entire addition is on the rear of the home. It will project into not the rear yard, but the rear portion of the main building setback. And based on the exhibits provided by the applicant, they appear to have done quite a remodel already. You can see the gray tones of the dark asphalt shingle roof, and then the white stucco off accents. So they've brought a contemporary design to the home, and now they wish to add additional livable square area. So I'll continue to scroll down. You can see the two materials. That's the gray slump block. That's the white, I believe is a smooth base stucco finish. And then you can see how the room will extend from the current line right here. It will extend rearwards. So there'll be a large window there, and then a small window, and then a lot of windows on the interior side where the master bedroom will look out towards the rear yard. You can see the floor plan here with the bathroom, kind of a pass-through closet, and then the master bedroom. One item we did want to ask the applicant to clarify, it appears that the entire building addition will be smooth stucco with, I believe, the white color finish. It wasn't 100% clear. I did want to ask if the applicant can clarify how they're going to address the transition from the gray slump block here where the home currently stops. And then as the master bedroom extends forward or rearward into their backyard, how they're going to transition the bold white smooth stucco like that. If it's going to look like this on this line or the seam on the side of the house, or if there's any opportunity to bring some of the slump block over, maybe they can kind of describe, how they intend to address the kind of the material change abruptly on the side of the residence. But with that, seeking that clarification, staff does seek to recommend approval of the application subject to the exhibits provided and the clarification on how that seam will be addressed.
Okay. Is there a site plan or anything that shows that you're saying it's just projecting straight 90 degrees into the backyard?
Certainly. I'm going to pull up the site plan now, if you don't mind. Just give me 1 second. I'm going to pull up the full application packet of theirs that I have. So this will give you a little bit more of a view. Let's see here. This is actually the existing. This shade trellis structure is going to go away so that we don't have a compromised setback there. Here we go. So you can see the site plan view here with the addition in the darker hatch.
Okay. All right. Is the applicant present?
Yep, I'm here, Colin Belfield.
Thank you. Is there anything you want to add to Jason's information?
No, I'll just comment on Jason's question about the tie-in. So if you essentially white, it's all synthetic stucco. So the new addition will match what's there as far as anything that's white synthetic. The addition portion, anything from the block fence to the rear will also become all stucco. You don't have any photos in this packet, so it may be hard to understand, but from the fence, the gate forward, only half of the upper half of the exterior on that west elevation is stucco. The lower half is block. Not the entire is not either. So from the gate rear, if I just match all white stucco, it wouldn't look any different than either direction. So my intention is to take from the fence gate to the rear, coat over the exposed block that's there now, and it'll carry right through with the building addition. So from the fence back, it will all look consistent.
Thank you.
Yep.
Do any of the board members have any questions for the applicant or for Jason?
There you go.
Yeah. Okay, thanks. Board members, anybody have any questions? Okay. If there's no questions for either, I'm gonna have a motion to make.
Sure, I move that we approve the application for the design plan at the 505 East Fairway Drive, and going along with all of Jason's recommendations.
Okay, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, the motion is approved. The motion to approve is approved. Sorry. All right. Next item is design plans for an addition remodel proposed for 580 East Bird Lane. And Jason, do you have a report on that one?
I do. Thank you, Chair. Board members, the design plans for 580 East Bird Lane is a request to turn the existing garage, it's a side entry garage on the residence, into, I believe, a workshop, and then add a new front-facing extended garage to the side of that. There's room on the side of the home. I'll put up the site plan in just one moment. And that'll be a 746 square foot oversized 2-car garage on the side of the residence. And it will continue to utilize the existing driveway that extends to the side of the home and accesses the current side entry garage. Go ahead and share my screen. You should be able to see the site plan here. So they have a circular drive, and then they have a punch through drive that goes to the back, and then that will access this new garage right here. The existing garage, it looks like they're gonna do some sort of a wall in there and then have this as a workshop before you go into the residence. The exhibits provided by the applicant states that the light body paint over stucco exterior wood fascia will be painted to match, and the clay tile roof will be extended across the new addition. One item to note is that there's some fairly dense landscaping on the front of the residence, and it kind of obscures most of it from view. So I put that street view up. So you really won't see much of anything, but perhaps some of the garage doors over here on the left side where the driveway punches straight back. I do have the full packet if you'd like reference to it. And I know it's in your packet. I can bring up the properties, the building elevations if you'd like, but staff's recommending approval of the application. Subject to the standard condition that all colors, finishes, building materials, roofline elevations, and other architectural features shall match those of the existing residence.
Okay, thank you. Is the applicant present?
My name is Steve Fromm, the architect.
Oh, okay, thank you. Is there anything you wish to add?
As you said, we're extending all the existing finishes. Actually, we're extending the existing ridge line also. So everything will blend into the existing building. That's about it. We're inside all the setbacks and everything else. And as you see, I think the only thing you will see may be a garage door from the street.
Okay, thank you. Do any board members have any questions for staff or applicant? Jason, maybe you could scroll through the rest of the packet while we're
Certainly.
deliberating.
Yeah, let me pull up the packet. It'll just take me 1 second. Okay, sorry, it came at a different scale here. Here we go. So front on view, it's the parcel map. And I need to, these are different sizes. Here we go. Some of the roof plan, the floor plans, demolition plan, and here are the cross sections, and you can see the actual south exterior elevation. This is the one that would be visible from the drive.
Okay, Any questions from board members? A motion, if anyone has one?
I'll move that we approve the design plans for 580 East Bird, subject to the stipulations by staff.
Okay. We have
I'll
a motion,
second.
a second from Mr. O'Connor. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
I,
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you. The motion is approved.
Thank you.
Thanks. Okay. I just need my screen back so I can get to my agenda. Oops. Oh, never mind. Oh, there we go. Okay. Where am I going? Next up is design plans for an exterior addition remodel proposed for 4802 North Hidden Terrace. Jason, would you give us your report on that?
Yes, thank you, Chair, board members. The applicant for this request for this home in a gated community in Litchfield, in the village, they're looking to revise their home's exterior with basically a complete overhaul of the color and materials palette. They'll be moving away from the original light tan that has a slightly orange hue in it in this photo to light browns and the salmon hues. And they're going to go with the more contemporary, deeper gray, darker tan palette with more contemporary window designs, where they'll be squaring off some of these windows and not doing the subtle arch, if you will. I'll show you what the home's going to look like here as I scroll down. This is the existing home. You can see with the veneers, the stucco, the window treatments. And then here you can see both a left angle and a right angle view of the home. So you can see the transition completely over to the light body, the very dark accents, and then the brick finishes and the dark roof. One thing we'd like the applicant to clarify, if they can, is in the materials, colored materials palette provided, they kind of note everything as existing, but I think they meant to say one set of the colors and materials is existing and the other set is the proposed. And I think I can pull up the packet for this item real quick too. Just give me 1 second. Small one, sorry. Let me pull it up, give me 1 second. Here we go. So going through this, if you look here, if they can just clarify this for us, it looks like they've got, the existing home and they've got several colors and materials noted. And then if you look down, they show it again, but I believe this is the new colors and materials, and they're just showing this one picture for the existing. I wasn't certain why they had two color materials boards, but in any case, like this brick looks different than this brick, but I'm not sure if it's just a graphical thing or what they were trying to indicate here. But I think if they could just clarify for the board's sake exactly what colors and finishes they're going to use on the home remodel, that would be helpful. And then again, here is the elevations with the two left and right angle views.
Should I speak? Hello.
Muted. Is the applicant present?
Hello.
Hi.
Hi. Okay. Thank you. So I'm not quite sure, Jason, why I had two finishes there. I think the first one was actually my first one. So
Okay. Or will you be using the grayer, the more
yes,
gray tone one?
Okay, exactly. So
that top one was like the first one I sent over prior to doing the rendering and verifying with the client. So what we're doing is we're actually using these existing brick and we're just grout washing it. And so this is our vision of what it will look like when it's done being grout washed. Obviously, grout wash isn't like a, you don't go and pick out a predetermined color. It is what it is when you do it. But their brick does look a lot like that upper brick, if you see it. Yeah. And so when we do like a gray grout wash over it, we are hoping to achieve that bottom color. Yes. And then we are covering over, I don't know if you saw the other areas of brick. We're doing that sand, the synthetic sand stucco finish. If you go back to the render. So currently most of the home is the brick finish. And we're actually taking a lot of that away and replacing it with a stucco as well as with a thermary, like wood siding that's a stained, heat resistant, termite resistant siding there. Yeah.
Okay. Is that anybody have a question for staff or for the applicant?
I do have a question. This is in an HOA, is that correct?
Yes, it is.
So do we have they reviewed this, and is there any feedback from the HOA and or any of the homeowners?
So I've worked with this HOA prior, and the colors that we've chosen are within their allowed colors. We have not submitted to them as of yet because we were trying to get it into this submittal prior, mainly just because of the month wait. But that will be our next step. So if anything changes, it'll be like a shade of white or taupe, whatever that color is up above. If you go back up to the colors, the pink colors. Yeah, so that shady stucco color, that may change like a shade lighter or a shade darker. If that makes sense. But nothing that would be noticeably different from that render.
Okay.
And the existing roof color, that photo that's shown in that top image, yeah, I don't know if you can do an aerial view, but the aerial view, like the roof color is more of like a maroon. It's not so much like orange. It's, I don't know, that photo is really orange.
So the roof tile is not changing those, is what you're saying? Is that
No,
right?
yeah, exactly, yeah.
Okay. It looked a lot darker in the rendering, so it looked as though it was changing.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I agree. It does look darker, but it is not changing.
I have another just quick question for, I guess, really just for clarification. The existing house kind of has like some arched windows. And it looks like, are those going to be changed just to be rectangular?
Yeah, so
Or
the
are they
contractor we're working with has said that it will be feasible for us to just square those off and take out the arch completely. And the homeowner who's wanting a more contemporary look is wanting to get rid of all arches. So all of those will be just squared off. So it'll remain, the height of that arch that'll still be the top of the window. Yeah, so if you look down at the house there, you can kind of see how it's much more maroon in color. So,
I'm not able to street view it because it's gated. So the best I can do is Google Earth 3D.
mm-hmm.
Well, I think the HOA is going to have the final say on the colors anyway.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
They're all within our kind of acceptable range. So are there any other questions for the staff or the applicant? No. I guess any approvals stipulated on an HOA approval. So would someone like to make a motion?
Sure.
Go ahead.
I'll move that we go ahead and approve the application at 4802 North Hidden Terrace, and that we approve the plan as submitted with the stipulations that staff has recommended and contingent on HOA's approval.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, thank you. All right, next up is a design plans for a roof-mounted solar panel installation proposed for 988 Castillo Drive. Jason, you want to give us your report on that?
Yes, thank you, Chair and board members. Yes, this is a solar voltaic installation on a flat roof. I'll go ahead and share my screen. Here we go. For 988 Castillo Drive, as a reminder to the board and of course members of the public and the applicant, the City of Litchfield Park does provide zoning ordinance criteria for the installation of solar panels on a flat roof as well as pitched roofs. And this application will focus on the three items necessary for the flat roof. Item A, the panels shall be screened from public view. B, the height of such screening at a minimum shall be the height of the solar energy collector panel. And C, the screening may be by a parapet or by a screening wall replicating the materials of the building. So in tandem with the exhibits you've got, I've confirmed with Pam that our understanding is that there's a 24-inch tall parapet on the front and sides of the home. And that the proposed panel array on the flat roof behind it is the same height of 24 inches. So our understanding is that it would be fully screened from view on the front and sides of the home. The reason this item is being brought before you is because on the rear of the home, there's a large section of the roof that does not have a parapet. So you're able to see the roof deck from both Dysart Road, and you'll see the you would see the tilted panels on the rear of the home from Dysart Road. So this is a through lot. You've got Castillo, the local street on the one side for which the home faces, and then Dysart Road, they're basically across the street from McDonald's. I wanted to point out here in this aerial, you can see in the circle, that's the home that's proposing the solar panels. Back in 2015, the home to its south was approved with significant discussion because there was an interesting circumstance where we had conditioned the approval, or the board had conditioned the approval to include some sort of a screening mechanism for the sides, so that when you look at the tilt, you don't see all the conduit and the underbelly of the panels and have that kind of unsightly mess visible from Dysart. I'm not certain that that was ever installed at the time of permitting, because I did a street view of the residence and it looks like you can see the panels on the top of that roof to the south on 980. Now, of course, that item's not on the agenda tonight. I'm just using it as a reference that we did discuss the issue of not having them screened on the rear back in 2015. And we were concerned about the view corridor from Dysart Road, but we talked about how fast traffic's going. Will they really see it? Does constituting not seen from public view on the sides and the front where Castillo Drive is inside the neighborhood, is that enough? And it seemed at the time, the board in 2015 was still concerned about the view of the panels from Dysart. One item I wanted to point out is in the exhibits, it appears that the parapet roof extends the full length of the front of the home, when in fact, there's actually a gap that's over the space between just to the north side of the garage and the living area. And if you look at the array in your packet, there's actually a row of panels that's going to be right here. So they would be directly visible from the road. We would recommend that the applicant shift that array. That would be, I can pull up the packet itself. But there's an array right here, so you would see panels tilted right there. So they should shift it either behind this parapet or behind this parapet and do some movement on site. But again, so you have that item as one, is visible from the front, and the second item is how the board perceives the appearance of the panels from the opposite side of them, from the rear, when people are traveling on Dysart Road. We did Google Street View of the home. Pam and I did that. Both of us did, kind of up and down Dysart. To think, we do believe you will see the panels from Dysart Road, if even briefly, while traveling at 45 miles an hour or happen to be at the McDonald's. So, it's something to consider. There's not a whole bunch of dense landscaping on the rear of the house in Dysart Road. There's some large mature trees, but it won't be fully screened from view. So we would suggest that, if the intention was to keep kind of with what was looked at 2015, that they, one, move the array so that it's not visible from the front, and two, if the board finds it acceptable, that they would, we would have some panels visible from the back.
Okay, thank you. Is the applicant here? I'm not sure who the applicant is, so.
And Chair, this is the array that I was discussing. There's a
Yeah,
gap
right there.
in the parapet right here. So this is the array we want to shift if we could.
Okay,
You can see this is the gap in the back, the parapet here.
and these are tilted significantly. Okay. Is the applicant present to discuss? Sorry, I can't see anybody.
Yeah. Seems like they're not present.
They're not here?
No.
Okay. All right. I guess we can table this till they're here. I don't know if anyone wants to share any thoughts or I personally would like to kind of get a little more information from Dysart. And it always befuddles me why I guess that gets more efficiency to tilt it, but it's like when you're affecting the view, I don't know. Anyway, if the applicant's not here, I propose tabling this to the next meeting.
I'll make that motion.
Okay.
A second.
We have a motion and a second to table this to our next regular meeting, the first Thursday of November. Okay, all in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed?
Nay.
Okay, you're outvoted. All right, we'll table this into our next meeting. Okay, next item. Sorry, I'm a slow scroller. Okay. Design plans for roof mounted solar panel installation proposed for 13846 West Harvest Avenue. Jason, would you give your review on this one?
Certainly, thank you, Chair, board members. Apologies in advance to the homeowner. The only street view image I had of their home is while it's under construction, so it looks a little messier than I'm sure it looks today. I'll go ahead and bring up the staff report with the images. All right, here we go. So this is over in Sunset Terrace, 13846 West Harvest Avenue. The home's unique in the sense that it's got a first floor and a second floor roof plane on which the solar energy collector panels will be are proposed to be placed. As a reminder to the board and members of the public, with pitched roof residences, there's 4 conditions that should be met. A, that the solar array panels or the solar panel arrays shall be in a flat configuration parallel to the roof plane and appear to be an integral part of the building. They should be configured in a regular quadrangular shape and aligned with the existing roof edges. They should be positioned within the field of the roof plane with a proportional margin of roof between the panel and the roof edges, and that the collector panels shall not be more than 10 inches above the surface. So this is the street view. This is really just to give you an indication of the first and second level relationship of the home. The only item that really kind of came up in our concern, and one reason why this wasn't approved administratively, but rather brought to the board, as you know, staff doesn't approve something if it's not in keeping with the 4 conditions, but the board has some more discretion. I talked to Pam, we have the typical roof vent gap thing occurring on both sides up on the upper level of the second floor of the home. The only item that came up here is that we tried to work with the homeowner and the solar company and to kind of clean up and make this more quadrangular on the front. We try to square up these panel arrays so we don't have, in particular, flipped orientations where you have vertical and horizontal, because they have a tendency to kind of really draw attention to them. So we would ask that if possible, that the homeowner look to bring this panel down here, which I think they've got a clipped roof and they can't do it, or they move it somewhere else so they don't have flipped orientation, drawing more attention to it than necessary. So I've got if this board wants to recommend any minor changes, I've got the standard conditions already listed here. If you'd like to make that motion after deliberating, otherwise I'd be happy to answer questions.
Okay. thank you. Is the applicant present on this one?
I'm here. I'm the solar contractor.
Okay. Did you understand Mr. Sang's recommendation, and is it possible to kind of move that the leftover? I don't know if it looks like there's a vent.
Yeah, so I
Right,
did look into this because on Pam's email, she kind of mentioned it. So it is a little deceiving, but we can actually flip that portrait in the same location that it's at. That vent is a little bit lower than it appears on the plans. So it leaves us enough space to have the 3-foot setback on the ridge line, as well as flipping it portrait without.
So it'll be the same orientation. You're just flipping it around the same way. So there'll be 4 on the top, 2 on the bottom.
Yes.
Okay, so that vent's not in the way you can actually do that. Okay. All right. Any other concerns from the board members?
Chair, if I may,
Yeah.
in case the board were to move towards a motion, I did note condition 4, the array shall be modified to not contain both vertical and horizontal orientations of the panels. There is an array in the rear that has one flipped as well. If your intention was to be more concerned with the one facing the local public street in front, or actually it's not public, I believe it's private, it's Sunset Terrace, they could fix that one. I'm not certain if you have would have the same heartburn of this one, which is on the rear. This one, I believe, is visible from Litchfield Road.
Okay. Board members, anybody have an issue with the one that's sideways on the back side of that? That's the one you say faces Litchfield Road?
Yes, sorry to make everybody sick. I'm scrolling kind of quickly here. I want to make sure I'm not giving you bad information. Oh, I apologize. It's interior, so it would actually face the residence to the north, not to Litchfield Road. I was thinking it was oriented over here, but it's not.
Okay. Any concerns with that one, with that panel? Board members?
Well, I mean, is there a way that we could make it consistent with the other ones?
So the best thing that we can do is flip it portrait, but move it on the right side of the top row. But there would be a gap because of that vent. We could line it up with the panel directly underneath it, but it would just be gapped right there. If that, we could do that if that's what you'd prefer.
My brain says to have
Yeah.
them the same way, but
Yeah.
I mean,
Got it. Yeah.
Is there room on the side where there's just a single one? Yeah. Is there room to put it side by side with that one?
It's possible. The only thing is that on the rakes of the roof, we have to have 18 inches on either side for fire, according to the fire code. So it might breach those 18 inches because it's getting closer to the rake of the roof.
To the ridge line.
Could you move it to the front, like that lower? I don't know if that would be better or not, but I mean, looks like you might have room for another one on the single story.
Garage.
Where the driveway is, yeah, we could do that as well.
Okay.
If that's, I mean, that would look a little more symmetrical than leaving that gap in the back of the house. Might look better, get better production, being that it's south facing.
I think that's probably the best option, is to put it over the garage there, rather than leaving another gap where the vent is anyway.
Right. Okay.
Okay. So with the staff will note these stipulations for you. And with that, would someone like to propose a motion?
I would move that we approve the package for 13846 West Harvest Avenue, given the stipulations that we just discussed, to reorient a few of those panels.
Okay.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? Okay, thank you. All right, next up are design plans for a roof-mounted solar panel installation proposed for 14128 West Green Hollow Terrace. Jason, you want to give us your review on that one?
Yes, thank you, Chair and board members. The design plans for roof mounted solar panel installation is for 14128 West Green Hollow Terrace. We've kind of gone through the standard 4 conditions that we look for the pitched roof residences. Those are listed A, B, C, and D above. This home is also in a gated community, so a direct street view of the home was not available, but I was able to get a 3D perspective pulled up so that you could take a look. You can see the panels all arrayed here. And then if you look down here, you can see they would all be placed on this roof right here. The biggest concern why this wasn't approved administratively was the concern that there's a lot of gaps and a lot of sawtoothing occurring in some locations and then flipped orientations again. What we'd like is if the applicant can kind of present to us, how they got here and if there's any way they can square some of these arrays up so that they don't look quite as scattered on the roof plane, that would be better and more in conformance with the zoning ordinance. And so that said, we would recommend approval with the standard conditions after the applicant can kind of explain where they got to with this and if there's opportunity to make them more square.
Thank you. Is the applicant present? Pam, is the applicant not present on this one too?
I don't see anybody else.
I'm sorry, it looks like they're not here.
Okay. Well, I think kind of fair is fair. I think we'll probably, this one bothers me more. It looks a lot more scattered than the other one even. So I would propose that we table this one as well.
I'll make a motion to table it.
Okay.
Second.
Second. I have a motion and a second to table it. All in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? Okay, next, I guess it's just the minutes. So, approval of the minutes of the August 5th, 2021 meeting. Someone propose a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, a motion and a second to approve the minutes. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? No. Okay, staff report on current events.
Well, I think the biggest report we've got tonight is sitting on the screen in the top left corner of Hollywood Squares. Daniel Loftus, our new planning services coordinator, is at a wedding in Colorado, but we're very lucky to have Pam join us for her last design review board meeting with us. So I think it goes without saying with their number of years of service that she will be very much missed. I'll be a little lost. I'm sure the rest of the board will feel the same way, but we'll try to limp along doing our best without all of her vast knowledge of the city and the processes, et cetera, especially with the design review board. I think she can do it in her sleep.
I'd like to say how much I've enjoyed working with all of you. It's been a pleasure. You make my job easier, and I've learned so much from you and how you work through the applications during the meetings. And Susan, I've worked with you since from the beginning.
From the beginning.
You were on the design board. And David, Vice Chair Ledger, a long time, and the rest. I think you have a really great board, and you do. It's a tough job, and I understand that. And thank you for all that you've done, and I'll miss all of you. I'll maybe sneak in on a few meetings, see what's going on.
Oh, yes.
But thank you. I'll miss you all.
If we see you in the meeting, we're going to ask you questions.
Uh-oh. I'll wear a disguise now.
Thank you. Thanks so much, Pam.
Oh, you're
Do you have
welcome.
does anyone have anything else to add? Staff report? No. Board member current events? Okay, I guess we shall adjourn. A motion to adjourn?
I'll make a
So
motion.
moved.
Okay. Thank you all. In a second.
Thanks, Pam. You're the best, Pam.
Yes,
Thank you, Pam.
agree.
You, Pam.
Yes, sir. All in favor of adjournment, say aye.
Aye.
Bye.
Aye. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a good night. Thanks, Pam.